I'm Coach Daniel, and if you want to sleep amazingly well for the rest of your life, this channel is for you. Important episode tonight when we're gonna see how you can do thought work. We're gonna look at 5 ways of working on your thoughts with an emphasis on the thought ladder, deliberately going from a problem thought to a goal thought so you get the results that you desire. Welcome back to this important episode in which we are going to really see how you can do thought work. We're going to focus on that today. And I'm going to go over 5 ways of changing thoughts. As we have seen in the exploration of the model, it's all about thoughts. Thoughts produce emotions. Emotions make us do things. Those actions have the results and so forth. So when you work with your thoughts, you can really influence everything else, okay? So thoughts are extremely important. That's where all the action is. That's where all the work is. That's the core of how our mind works and how we feel and what we do, etc. So with that said, I want to start with number 1, which is education. Changing thoughts is really, in terms of changing thoughts, that is a huge one. For example, a common problem thought is, I gotta get 8 hours. When you educate yourself and you realize that most people actually sleep, objectively measured, around 6 hours, 6 hours, 20 minutes, or something like that, then that thought changes, and that is very beneficial. So that's number 1. Education is one way of working with thoughts. Number 2 is dismissal. When you completely just dismiss a thought that is not helpful to you. So you may have a problem thought like, I can't sleep without taking this chamomile tea. But guess what? You may then, when you get that thought, you may just go like, wait a minute, that's nonsense. I've slept many times without it. Dismissed. You just dismiss the thought. That's number 2, dismissal. Number 3 is the classic CBT approach of, collecting evidence that supports or refutes your thoughts. And a classic one here is, if I don't sleep tonight, then I'm not going to be able to do my job tomorrow. Well, explore the evidence. Maybe you can find that time where you didn't sleep very much and you still did really good at work, or the other time where you didn't do well at work at all and you actually slept pretty good that night. Even if those are minority events, there's still evidence that prove to you that your thought, I can't function if I don't get enough sleep, is untrue. So evidence gathering is another way of working with thoughts. That is number 3. Number 4 is a really cool one that I don't talk much about, but it's the meta approach, going meta. And this is when you get a thought like I know I'm not going to fall back asleep. And then you go, should I even explore this thought? Is it even worth my while to think about this thought? And like looking at the thought from the outside and just not engaging with it and questioning whether you even should think about that, something like that, going from the outside and not even engaging with your thoughts. That's kind of the meta approach, very similar to ACT and mindfulness. So those are four ways of working with thoughts. But that's not where we're going to spend the bulk of our time today. We are going to talk about how to deliberately work your way from a goal thought, from a problem thought rather, to a goal thought. How can you do that? Well, first of all, you need to identify a problem thought. There may be many. So where you want to start is to do a thought download, And by that, I don't mean putting some fancy equipment on your brain and downloading it to a computer. Pen and paper. Just grab a pen and paper and download all your thoughts, okay? So you get a list of all those thoughts that are troubling, that are problems, like things that you're worried about, etc., okay? And then you have a list. And then what you do is you go through this list and you decide which one you're going to work with. By the way, the mere act of putting things down on a list is therapeutic, because when something that you feel you don't have control over, that you haven't really, intangible things are less frightening, less anxiety provoking than things that are put down on paper. So the mere fact of writing stuff down is good. And another benefit of doing this thought download is that you see that it feels like there are 20 things you're worried about. Maybe they're actually just 3 groups of things. That can be a benefit as well. But what we're going for here is identifying problem thoughts. So when you've done that thought download, you pick one thought. You say, this is the one I want to work on. Let's pick something like, I know I I can't sleep if I don't fall asleep before, 9 p.m. That sleep window thing. Like if I don't fall asleep before that time, I'm not going to sleep at all. You know that kind of is a problem thought. You've identified that as a problem thought. Then what is your goal thought? Well, let's say simply refuting that one. So my goal thought is that I can fall asleep later on, even if I don't fall asleep before 9 p.m. That's kind of a goal thought. That's where you want to get. So how can you get there? Well, this is where you create this ladder. So you have your problem thought and you have your goal thought. And what you can actually do at that point is like, you can actually try to make that quantum leap and just say like, hey, let me try on my goal thought and say, just try it on. Like say to yourself, like, actually, you know what? I can sleep really well, even if I don't fall asleep before 9. And if that feels good to you, if you kind of feel like, you know what, that's probably true, then it's kind of like you can do that quantum leap. You don't even need to bridge that gap between the problem thought and the goal thought. But if that doesn't feel right, if you try on your goal thought and it feels like, no, I don't really believe that, you're not ready for that, that's where you need to bridge the gap with a thought ladder. And that is a series of thoughts that are kind of in between your problem and your goal thought, and that you can use as stepping stones towards that goal thought again. So that's when you kind of do another brainstorming session, and you think of thoughts that are in between. They can be neutral thoughts like, I know I can sleep. That's better than I can't fall asleep if I don't, if it doesn't happen before 9 p.m. Just the fact like I'm capable of sleeping, I can sleep, it has happened before, something like that's better. Or something super neutral like it is possible to sleep, like, or something like something like I can fall asleep if that is like 9:30 or whatever it is. Use your imagination. Just find thoughts that are between your problem thought and your goal thought, and then lay them out. Like write them down in a ladder. From your problem thought to your goal thought. Here are your stepping stones, and then you start with the first step. You try on the bridging thought that you have on your first step there. And if that feels good, you know what, I think I can believe that, you are ready to take that first step. You start, applying that thought. When your problem thought pops up, then you say, you know what, I've already taken the first step. This is my new baseline. And then you go, after whatever time period you choose, you can try on the next step, and then the next, and then the next, etc., until you reach your goal thought. Now, let's say you do this download, and you're starting to work on a certain problem thought, and you kind of get stuck. You're like, I'm not really getting anywhere. I'm still stuck on this problem thought that I started working on with. Guess what? Just go back to either do a new thought download or go back to your original download. Pick another one. Pick another thought to work with. And you'll see that you probably won't need to go through the entire list. If you had a long list of problem thoughts, once you reach one goal thought, then you might go back to the list and see like, you know what? I think I've already reached 2 goal thoughts. I'm already ready to accept 2 goal thoughts. So that's kind of the beauty of thought work here, deliberate thought work, doing a thought ladder, that if you reach one goal thought, the other ones are so much more attainable. So I will conclude there. I look forward to your comments, thoughts on this episode. And as always, if you want to send an email, that's always welcome. Questions@thesleepcoachschool.com, and I look forward to having you here very, very soon. Until then, bye-bye.